Hello, everybody.
Hi there.
Hey, how we doing?
Good. How about you?
Good, thank you. Good. We're just
Hey, Art.
got this major project going on, and we're just kind of buried in it. I was up until 11 o'clock last night trying to get it done, and I don't think I'm any closer than I was, you know? One of those. Hello, Alex.
Hey, how you doing, Art?
Good, thanks. Yourself?
Not bad, not bad. What kind of project you working on up till 11?
Well, it's a project that I took on like 4 weeks ago. I'm sorry. You know, God, I hate to say this after yesterday. I think both of you on the call yesterday. Um, a lead gen company is a company that produces leads. They don't really do normal digital marketing. Their only purpose is to produce leads.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a person that I knew very well, and I will tell you in a moment who it is because it's strange not to say who it is, but I'm just going to hold it for a second.
Yeah.
A guy who would listen to me discuss how people approach or didn't approach marketing. Okay. I find it odd. I mean, I'm just going to bare my soul here. I find it odd that there is no successful company in the world who hasn't figured out their marketing.
Right.
And yet, I'm going to say it this way. The vast majority of small business people I know just don't have it as a very important thing in their daily work life. And wonder why they're not bigger, why they're not more successful, why they don't have more of the clients they want. And it rarely occurs to them it's because they haven't taken marketing seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And others use NARI as an example. NARI as an organization doesn't take marketing seriously. And I've had people in leadership agree with me that they don't. They have a similar feel to other small business people that if I do a great job, then people should come and use me. I've earned it by the fact that I did a great job.
You know, it's true for most other people, but it really doesn't apply to me, Art.
Of course not. I understand. But it is interesting. And so this person finally said, well, Art, you're the one who's being stubborn. Okay. And I said, why? He said, well, because really what they want, and I'm going to say this, I hope nobody takes this personally, but really what they want is they want to force it. And they want to be able to just turn it on and get leads when they want. They want to be able to just turn it off. They don't want to put any money up front. They only want to pay for results. And you refuse to give that to them. I don't know, Portia.
That sounds like my customers.
Right?
Right.
Well, I think to some extent that's probably accurate. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I even had a NARI board member in a call recently tell me that the reason that they didn't worry about marketing was so simple that anybody could do it. And I happen to know this person's struggling and he doesn't connect the two. I mean, that's the thing, there's a disconnect. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. And so this person finally came to me about a month ago and said, okay, I'm paying for it. I'm hiring you to put together a lead gen company for me. And what a lead gen company is exactly that. They don't charge you anything except for the lead. Mm-hmm. Okay. You don't put up any money up front. You don't invest anything. You don't go through any of the pain of trial and tribulation. You just say, I need 100 leads. And a lead gen company goes, great, here's 100 leads.
All right.
Okay. So a month ago, we began this process of creating for this gentleman a lead gen company where, you know, someone can just come and say, I need 100 leads, and we just give them 100 leads. It's not easy.
Right.
No.
But we're getting there. We're getting there. We have 2 clients, and they both understood that we were new at this and putting it together. We've been working on it, and we've now gotten up to one client is making one sale a day based on the leads we're giving them. But we still can't give him the number of leads he wants. We still have not gotten to the point of being able to give him the, you know.
So is the project then, Art, for you to design a platform, a digital platform that generates leads off of it, period? I mean, that's what the project is about?
That is correct. And it has to be done in a cost-effective way so you can charge a, quote, reasonable amount for the leads.
Right.
Okay. And so that's what we've been trying to put together. And, you know, at first we were able to get the leads, but they were just too expensive. And, you know, so we had to get down to a normal, and we had to get it down to a price that we thought was reasonable. We understand that people we're selling them to will never think the price is reasonable because they think they deserve them anyway. They think they do great work. They ought to get the client, period, because they feel they've earned it by doing great work. Does that make sense?
Yes and no.
Yeah. You understand the feeling is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do. I mean, but it's unrealistic. It's kind of like expecting, it's like waking up and going down and sitting at your computer to trade in the stock market and thinking that, well, you know, I've been doing this for 10 years. And so I think the market's going up today. So I expect whatever trade I place is going to go up.
Right.
And it's not how the market works.
Yeah, and I will say everyone will agree that feeling is not realistic. That doesn't mean they don't feel it. Right? I mean, we're not required to have our feelings be logical.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, we have a calculation of, you know, if we're figuring out how much somebody can pay for a lead and still be profitable. And, you know, we're trying to get them the leads at that price, okay? So it's pretty remarkable when you think about it. When we have this client now, 30 days in, we now have a client for him that is making a sale a day based on the leads that he's being given. That's pretty remarkable when you think about it.
Right.
All right. So anyway, but it's the thing where, so you can get higher quality leads, but they cost more.
Right.
Or you get lower quality leads, but they don't convert as well. You know, is working this, pulling all the levers to end up with this balancing act, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. Well, one of the things that when I was doing more different marketing activities than I am today, I think I had 12 different categories for marketing, and the object was to identify how much money I invested in each of those expense categories and keep track of how many leads, bids, and sales and the dollar volume of each, so that I knew at least, you know, on a 12-month basis, what my most profitable investment in type of marketing was.
Right.
And you know, what you're doing is sounds like developing one of those categories, you know, to try to find the optimum sweet spot that every business is looking for.
Right. Right. So anyway, that's the project, Alex. You asked what's the project we're working on. Now, that being said, I'll now say who the person is. It's my son is the person. And so we take sailboat trips every year and we talk business. It's kind of what we do.
Yeah. And
so in the business, he finally got to the point of, you know, it's obvious what people want. He goes, you're just being stubborn and not giving it to them. And so he came and said, okay, I'm ready to invest in building a company. He said, so I'm going to start the company. I'm going to hire you guys to do it for me.
Huh.
And this is what he's doing. So, and so that's been the project. And I mean, when I say that's been the project, I mean, there's an expert in this field who's available at 1 a.m. Monday mornings. He happens to be in the UK.
Yeah.
So I've been getting up every Monday morning at 1 a.m. I haven't been getting up. I've been staying up until 1 a.m. every Monday morning
Wow.
to be on the phone call with him
Yeah.
and stuff. I mean, it's been a very and the client, I've known him for quite a few years. I've never felt he was particularly reasonable, nor is he reasonable as a client. Just so you know, I've got that issue. It's all right. He has a similar feeling about the company he hired. So,
Well, good luck, Art, Dad. I mean, you know,
But you're right, Art. Most people don't think that you have to put money into marketing. I worked for my father's company for many years, and he was an inventor and had patents on like electrical lighting products. And he was like, no, it's the best thing. It's the best thing ever. I said, well, yeah. And at that point, I was 19, 20, 21. None of my sisters wanted to help him with the business. So I did. He needed someone to help market it. Ultimately, I marketed it nationwide, but he didn't think he had to spend money on marketing because he thought he had the best products in sliced bread. But the point is, you can have the best product in the world, but if you don't put money into marketing it, no one's gonna know about it. So
right. Yeah. It's kind of like saying, I want to marry somebody, but I'm going to stay in my house and, and never use a Zoom call, never do anything. The right person will show up at my door. It's like,
right.
Doesn't quite work that way. It'd be nice, I guess, but that's not the way it works.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, but it is interesting having him be a client because Derek is unique. Let me just say it that way, okay? He has been remarkable in every single thing he's ever done. And he just doesn't understand why anything is a challenge.
Well, it's also a dynamic to work with I worked with my father for many years, and so there's another element and layer of a dynamic when you're working with your child or your parents. So
Well, I'll say he's pretty good about that. I don't know if you'd say the same about me, but I would say it. But I'll just give you an example. He decided at one point, he and his business partner decided to do a book. Okay. And so they decided to do a book. No publisher wanted to publish it. So they published it, sold 100,000 copies of it. Okay. Now, if you know anything about books, 100,000 copies would be equivalent to being on the New York Times bestseller list. I mean, it's like 0.5% ever sell 30,000 books. Okay. The average book published literally sells in the thousands, 1, 2, 3,000 books. So the next time they wanted to publish a book, they had every publisher in the world trying to get them to publish with them. And they did. They went with a publisher. But go back to the first book. So the book became so popular. I mean, it became a rave. I mean, when I say became a rave, I mean the New Yorker wrote about it. The New Yorker invited them to a comic off where they both the New Yorker and they were given the same subject. And they both had to write a comic strip about it. Now, if you know anything about comics, there is no higher prestigious comic than the New Yorker comics. They're the only people that the New Yorkers ever challenged to a comic off. They've been on the Stephen Colbert show and stuff. So, I mean, all right. Well, Barnes and Noble decides we need this book in our store. And so they call my son. See, this is, he does expect people just to buy his book and it works for him. That's the scary part, okay? And so Barnes and Noble calls and says, we want to carry a book. And Derek says, well, no. They said, why not? They said, well, in your policies, it says you can return the book for a full refund under any condition, which is the way the rule is written. He said, you can leave the books out on the loading dock and it can rain, the books can get destroyed and you can return them. We don't want to do that. So, no, we're not going to sell your books. Now, this went back and forth for about 2 months, and finally they got up to the vice president of purchasing, who explained to Derek that he did not have the authority to change that. And Derek said, well, okay. I said, you know, that's simple. Then in that case, Barnes & Noble is not going to carry the book, or you're going to get somebody on the phone who has the authority to change it. 3 days later, he's on the phone with the CEO of Barnes & Nobles, who agrees to buy them outright with no return policy.
That's pretty nice.
That's just who Derek is. I you know, don't know how else to explain it. You know what I mean? Whatever Derek does, Derek accomplishes, and he accomplishes it at an incredible level.
Did you say the CEO agreed?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Are you going to keep us in the dark or tell us what the name of the book is?
That particular was. Do we have any mathematicians? Anybody out there a mathematician?
Well, I'm into math and data, but
Okay.
I don't know what particular you're talking about.
Not
So-
by degree. I was an undergraduate math minor.
Okay, we'll see if you figure out what the title of this book is. I'm just going to draw what you'd see on the cover if you saw it. Okay, here.
This is a mystery.
So what do you see as the name of the book?
Is that supposed to be a circle?
Yes. It says volume and then there's a circle.
I don't know if you're saying circumference or I don't know.
No, it's volume. The word is volume.
Right?
And then there's a zero.
Don't know.
Infinity.
Nope. It's a zero.
Ah, volume 0. Okay.
No, it's actually volume 1. It says volume 1 clearly. You don't see that?
No.
Okay. Does anyone know why that's volume 1?
First, there was nothing.
Nope. Binary.
Huh.
Oh, zeros and ones.
In binary, that is 1. That is volume 1 in binary.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
Okay.
hmm
All the pages were done binary. So like by the 7th page, it's page 311 or something like that. I mean, it's you know, it's all done in binary. I mean, because they're math nerds.
So is it a cartoon or no? It's a
Yeah,
cartoon.
they have the world's largest cartoon in the world. They have the largest cartoon in the world. And they have fans throughout the world. I mean, as an example, Bill Gates is a fan. Bill Gates has hired them to do cartoons for him. Okay, it is stick figures. That is a cartoon. Okay, it says odd how in physics, small m, small b is both millibars and millibonds, which one is pressure, one is area. MB could mean millibar, millibond, which is a unit of force, strangely. Units are weird. So what the joke is about how the same set of letters can mean different things in physics.
I bet he initially showed all that to you and you're like, what? you were probably shocked when he sold 100,000.
Well, yeah, I mean, Derek is always that way. I mean, Derek was offered over 100,000 a year when he got out of college to work for Google, and he turned him down because he was going to do a webcomic instead. Okay. Derek, okay, I mean, probably the story that explains Derek the most was when Derek got to the end of his college career, he was 2 courses short of a degree, 2 liberal arts classes. And so he didn't get a degree. And his mother, who is not a particularly violent person, asked him very calmly, well, Derek, when do you think I'll get a degree? And he said, well, I guess when the college decides they want to give me one. He goes, but I'm not doing 2 liberal arts classes because I don't need liberal arts for what I do. So, and my wife, in her infinite wisdom, explained to Derek how colleges don't decide to give someone a degree. Does that sound reasonable for her to say to him?
Yes.
Right. 2 years later, we get a letter. Congratulations on the graduation of your son. How many tickets for graduation would you like? So my wife, in her smugness, calls Derek up and said, oh, you decided to go back and get your degree. He goes, huh? What are you talking about? Oh, we got the letter. He goes, oh, yeah, that. Yeah, I guess so. She goes, what do you mean you guess so? You had to go back and do 2 courses. You know what? He goes, well, no. He goes, what happened was, do you remember the project I did in my senior year where I wrote the kernel for doing a AI program for teaching high school students calculus? And we said, yes. He goes, well, the state of Massachusetts just gave the college a $10 million grant to develop it. But part of the requirements of the $10 million grant was that I be the head of the project. And in order to be the head of the project, I had to have a degree.
That is so funny. Well, it's funny, Art, because my father was the same. He had 2 classes left and he refused. Similar type of thing. So
yeah. Well, my wife hangs up and she goes, and we're he went to school up in Massachusetts. We're down here in Virginia. My wife says, okay, I'm getting the car and driving up to the college. I said, what are you going to do? She goes, I'm going to kill somebody. I said, who are you going to kill? She goes, I haven't decided yet if I'm killing my son or the dean who gave him a diploma. I don't know which one, but I have 10 hours to decide. But that's just who Derek is. The rules don't apply to Derek. And it's not because Derek doesn't think the rules apply to him. It's because they actually don't. So when I tell him I wasn't able to do something, he goes, why not? It's like, it doesn't compute.
Have you found any remodeling companies that works with?
Well, we haven't done, in one sense we have, but not in the sense you mean. I mean, we're doing it now for an exterior remodeling company, but that's a different animal.
Yeah.
Okay. And I say it's a different animal. I mean, the principles are the same, but people would consider it different. But it actually, Alex, I mean, the process is actually very simple. I mean, it's not a complicated process.
Right.
All you have to do is put a message out on the internet that has a strong enough pull to people that they click on it and fill out a form to talk to somebody. I mean, that's the process. It would work for anything. The problem is it has to have a strong enough pull for somebody to do it. And it has to do it often enough that it becomes a cost effective to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Which is why when I had a client once who asked me, in fact, he's on this project, he had heard about this type of ability to do it. And he asked me why couldn't I do it for him? And I said, I can. It'd be about $15,000 invested up front before the first lead came in. And, he didn't want to do that, obviously, which makes perfect sense why he wouldn't want to do it. I'm not saying that I thought he'd want to do it, if you see what I'm saying. But
yeah,
that's what it takes. It takes so much research and so much testing and stuff that literally the estimate is somewhere between 15 and 25,000 to get the system working. Now,
so
once it's
cost
working,
prohibitive for most, then you're saying.
well, it's either cost prohibitive or cost painful. If you know what I'm saying. In other words, there are people who could afford to do that, but it's a painful jump to make.
So Art, you maintain you can do that literally with any product or service, is create its own lead gen platform.
Correct. I don't know if any is the right answer. Let's put it this way. Almost every type of business I've seen has had a lead gen developed for them at some point. It's usually done by a Fortune 500 company. I mean, virtually every Fortune 500 company has lead gen programs working for them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the products are across the board. I mean, name me a product and I can tell you, seriously, Alex, pick up a product and I can tell you if I know of a company that does a lead gen for it.
Caterpillar.
I'm sorry?
Caterpillar.
Oh, you mean the tractors?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yes, absolutely.
How is this different than creating, a page or a platform site and same thing, getting people to click on it, fill out a form? Like, I guess I'm missing something.
Well, the difference that is an element of it. And so that's why there is no difference in one sense, except you build a platform that people fill out a form. The trick is, how do you decide, well, I want 300 leads next week and produce 300 leads, and say the next week I want 1,000 leads and produce 1,000. And the next week say, I only want 100 this week and produce 100. That's the hard part, to be able to just regulate how many leads you're getting out of it. Does that make sense, Gail?
Well, yes, but also wouldn't it involve Google, because everything does, and they charge for, like, do you know what I mean? You have to push your ads out and stuff like that.
That's correct. And you have to come up with a compelling enough message or a catchy enough message or whatever that it collects that at a reasonable cost, at a cost that can be paid. May not want to be paid, but a cost that can be paid.
So everybody's sweet spot for this magic message, that's compelling enough that people seeing it want to fill out a form, or they want more.
I'm sorry, what?
So what I'm wondering is, have you ever seen or heard of somebody's magic compelling message go viral to where, they're absolutely inundated with leads and they can't turn it off because the internet basically schmocked them, or whatever it's called?
No. No. And the reason is that if something goes viral, nothing goes viral for any length of time.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, even something with 10 million views got the 10 million views in a 3-week period. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that gets 5,000 views every week for the next 20 years.
Right. In other words, Black Swan event type thing.
Right. Can that happen? Yes, that can happen. But it's rare, because anything going viral is rare, and it's not lasting. It's a moment in time.
Yeah. So the process, a system, steady as she goes, that you refine and develop and tweak and experiment with, depending upon how much. Do you have more money or more time? If you have a lot of money and you want it done fast, you go through that process in a shorter time frame.
Right.
If like us, you have a little bit more time and less money to put into that project because there are other, sources, and we don't make our sales online. We just look for supplemental leads. For most of us, it's the 80-20 rule. Our 80% of our business comes from our network that we've developed over the years. It's that 20% that we're looking for outside sources to fill in those 4 appointments, to use your example from yesterday.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to maintain that something else is at play there. And I'm going to maintain this. You don't need to agree with me, Alex, okay? I'm just going to maintain it, okay? That 80-20 rule only works for somebody in the way you described it. Only works for somebody who doesn't want a big company. Okay? I have never seen the big company get 80% of their business from referral and the like. I've just never seen it. I can't think of a single exception.
Right.
I've seen $1 and $2 and $3 million businesses do it solely by referral. Depending on what the industry is, it might even be able to go up a little bigger than that. But like, I'll have remodelers, someone like in your position, Alex, who will tell me, well, in my industry, 80% of your business comes from referrals. And I go to Case or I go to Sun Design, and it's not true for them.
Right.
But they're a $20 million business.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, seriously, I mean, I just picked two. I don't know if I picked the right two, but you know what I'm saying? There are companies
I do.
that we know that are
In other
$20
words,
million.
the
I'm sorry?
percentages change depending upon the scale of the company.
Right. That, that a company, we have a company in Nari, Metro, oh God, who got upset that they didn't win more Nari awards. Who was that? But they're a huge company, but they get over 80% of their business from online.
Huh.
But they're doing 30 million a year.
You talking about Michael Nash?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Wow, that's ridiculous.
What's ridiculous? Oh, about the Nari?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I was just trying to remember who it was. I was talking about Alex's range of that in his business, like 80% of the business comes from word of mouth. And I'm saying, no, that's not, he was saying in his industry, in effect. And I'm saying, well, no, that's not true in the industry. That's true of your type of business.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised to hear you. I have no idea about Case, but I am surprised to hear you say that about Sun, because I'm friends with both the owners, and long time ago, we partnered on a marketing event, but I know they have a huge network, right? Client network from all the years, and they do get the majority of their business from their network, their client. And,
that's not what I was told.
oh, okay.
Okay. Remember, I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to the home shows in Dulles, but I mean, they take out one of the largest booths in the whole home show.
Yes, we participate in the home show.
Okay. Well, I mean, they spend a whole bunch of money in the home show, which is a marketing effort.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I'm not saying
that's
that,
true, but I've also, because we've done the home show for all the similar years they have, and we've actually discussed the actual lead gen from the home show, and it's not as great as you think. Okay, but and it depends on your cost for the home show. So their booth was way larger than ours, right? I think they have a 20 by 20, and ours was 10 by 20 plus, depending on the position. But
yeah, they have an end cap, or at least they do now.
yeah, the point is, there's a lot of times the shows were not so good. And so even if it's one though, so they need a higher amount of leads from the show that convert. But it's hard to know. But the bottom line is you have to do you have to diversify, just like in financials in your life. You can't just put all your money into one thing. You have to do diversified marketing.
No.
Anyway.
And I agree. And I was only using the home shows as one example of how major an effort they put in bringing in business that's not just word of mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah. But they do a lot of culling of their network of all the people they've gathered over the years. So.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the ways that that my bigger clients will justify their advertising cost is because if they bring in a new client, they gain a new referral source.
Yeah.
Right. And so, see, there's one group of people who are very aggressive marketers who will argue that any business they bring in that they don't lose money on is good business because it increases their base.
Mm-hmm.
It's one more person who can refer them. It's one more person they can have a sign out in front of their house.
Would you all agree that 3 to 5% is what typically should be spent if you're not launching new product, new service, that basically just as,
No, I would not agree with that at all. And I've actually never even heard that number. The number that the Small Business Administration gives is 10%.
Wow.
But,
what do you say, Alex?
Well,
3 to 5% of your desired revenue goal. That's what I'm talking about.
I think it depends how much you want to grow, Gail. if you want to grow, if you're at 1.5 million and you want to get to 3, then you know, and it depends on your management style, how aggressive you are. Do you want to, you know, use the current cash flow that you have and you want to maintain? I say you need between 2 to 4%. If you want to grow market share and grow in a controlled way, grow between 10 to 30% a year, I think you need to bump that to 5, 6, 7% as a full line general remodeler is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the home improvement specialists. The home improvement specialists that do more smaller ticket items, you know, and including, you know, sunrooms, for instance. A sunroom in my mind is a specialty item, especially if it's a prefab
Right.
type kit. But a general remodeler building foundations through paint and renovating spaces, it includes a bathroom and a kitchen and a room addition, for instance, you know, in our whole house remodels, sweet spot type projects for us, right?
Yeah.
You know, 2 to 4%, I think in a normal healthy market works. As demand in the marketplace for our services drops, you need to spend more.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have, you know, everybody's trying to get a fewer number of jobs. You need to talk to more customers to find the ones that it's a good fit for you. So it does depend on your goals, would be my counsel. Your goals, your you know, and your skill set internally in terms of what you've been doing and how many new projects you can dial up at once. Having a marketing plan and identifying the different techniques and tactics that you think are the best fit and putting budgets on each one of those is something that I recommend you go ahead and put together. I think it helps you.
Oh yeah, I've done that for years. I have a marketing plan. I do an annual marketing plan budget.
Gail, let me ask, where did you get that number? Because I have never.
I was just going to tell you. So
Please.
we used to be part of a remodeling group with other owners, you know,
Right.
and that was the 3 to 5% was the typical spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, that's
And
typical
so
of what
that's
was
where I'm
spent,
talking
or an
full-
expert recommended that amount?
Experts recommended that, and the bottom line is, you know, it goes to what Alex is saying, that, you know, for a full service remodeling company, it probably is different for like a specialty type of, you know,
Right.
like windows, whatever, you know.
I just pulled up the U.S. Small Business Administration, which is certainly an unbiased third
Mhm.
party,
Mm-hmm.
and they're recommending spending of 7 to 8% of your gross revenue in marketing if you're less than 5 million, and 10 to 12% if it's over 5 million. Now,
Hogwash. You know, with all due respect to the Small Business Administration, they don't know much about small business that services, you know, the remodeling home improvement industry. If you look at some of the government classifications of our industry, design, build, residential remodeling as a section doesn't really even exist.
okay,
And,
Alex, Alex, this is not a debate about if we like the Small
Right.
Business Administration. or
No,
not.
I know.
I'm simply saying, I'm surprised. I have personally never heard a number given as low as Gail just gave. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Doesn't mean someone hasn't given it. So I just pulled up.
No,
the internet
I understand, Art. I'm not
and
upset about
but-
anything, but I want to share with you something that Gail, I've also been members of these industry peer groups with 10 to 15 remodeling and small building companies from different parts of the country. I was members of 2 different groups over a 20-year period, and we would collect and collate everybody's marketing investments as a percentage of their revenue. And we actually had, you know, like a data set with quite a few numbers.
No, Alex, that's fine. I'm not debating that. Let me just ask you, what was the average company size in that group?
Average company size 20 years ago would be about $1 million to $3 million.
Okay, and how fast were they growing?
2 million. What's that?
How fast were they growing?
It would vary. You'd have everything from contraction to
Because here's the
20,
thing about an
30% a day.
average. An average will only tell you what an average company of that type is spending.
Okay.
It will not tell you what they should be spending. In other
That's
words,
fair. That's
that
fair.
is no say. So as an example, I'm working with a client, and I'll share who it is, but I'm working with a client who would blow any of these numbers out. But I will tell you, he opened up last January, the middle of last January, and did $2 million in his first year, and is on track to do over $5 million this year. His goal was not to be a $1 to $3 million business. His goal wasn't to be a business growing at a reasonable percent each year.
Right.
His goal was to be a $20 million business in less than 5 years. So
And what's
when
his
you talk
marketing
about what is the
percentage?
right amount to spend, there is so much more into it than what the average company spends.
That's a fair statement, Art, and it does go back to what I said to Gail. It depends on your goals. If your
Right.
goal is to become a $20 million company in 5 years, you probably need to spend 10%.
No way.
How much does the guy spend, Art?
About 20%.
Okay, so here's the thing. When I asked the question, okay, because yes, part of that group. So we didn't just see the 1 to 3 million. We saw the average of also the $20 million companies, the $10 million companies. The bottom line is I was looking to the, and I'm going to put that in quotes, experts, okay?
Right.
Because I was told I was spending too much, right? At
Right.
like 6-7%. And that
Right.
it should be down to 2 to 4 or 3 to 5. Okay. So I was only going back, you don't know what you don't know. So I was looking to the alleged experts. We're not part of the group anymore. But my point is,
Okay.
I didn't, because I was allegedly above it. So
Right.
it's good information. I wanted to ask that to you both because, I do try and do things on a shoestring budget. However, you can only get so far.
Right. When I'm asked, I actually turned down a client about a month ago because when they told me what they were trying to accomplish, I said, in the next half hour, I can tell you things you need to do to accomplish that without spending a dime.
Mm-hmm.
See, I think we're asking, and again, please don't take this wrong, but I think we're asking the wrong question when we say, how much should we spend on marketing?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we can, because the answer is, okay, here's what I actually believe the answer is, Gail.
Okay.
I think we should spend the lowest amount we can to reach the goal that we have.
That's great, Art. Well said.
Okay.
Okay,
And
Mr.
so-
Politician.
Yeah, well, what I'm just saying is for a company that wants to open up and do 2 million their first year and do 5 million their second year and do, 20 million by their, by their fifth year, it's going to be a different answer than the person who wants to have, wants to be able to support themselves and their family, don't want to have any employees, don't want any headaches. Those are different goals.
Well,
How you
and it
accomplish
costs a
them
lot
becomes
of money,
different.
so that person must have deep pockets to be putting into marketing because that's
100% of his money that he puts into marketing comes from his sales. He had no money to invest at the beginning.
But he had to put money into marketing at the beginning when he didn't have sales. So that's my
No, we
point.
started him off with lead gen companies. We started off with companies where he only paid after he got the lead.
Mhm.
That was the initial investment because he had no money to invest.
Art,
Okay.
is this company operating in any of the building or home improvement space?
Yeah,
Windows, doors,
it's commodities at Simplify. He's a member of Nari Metro. I brought him in as a member, and he does exterior remodeling. He does
Right.
roofing, siding, windows.
No, it's the most profitable section of the business. So
Yeah,
I get
which is fine. And again, I'm not drawing that we should be doing what he does because the program we've designed for him is around his goals and his aspirations and the lifestyle he wants. You know what I mean? That's one of the great things about owning your own small business. You can decide what you want.
that's right, and
Okay.
and a marketing plan needs to be tailored to suit.
That's correct. I have Nick doing things I don't have any other client doing. But I don't have any other client that says I want to start up and do 2 million my first year and 5 million my second year.
Right.
Right? And by the way, are those goals good goals? Any goal's a good goal, as long as it's the goal you have.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, no, that's cool.
All right. And so that's why, Gail, I struggle with your question of how much should someone spend. We can tell you, like Alex has, we can tell you what average is, but that doesn't tell you what we should be spending.
Right. Yeah. And the average I was told is 3 to 5. That's all I'm saying. So
Right.
I go back to, I need to stick with my own gut. So.
Yeah. And you have to do it within your own goals and your own aspirations and stuff. I don't believe there is I get annoyed with, I'll be honest, I get annoyed with marketing companies that say, well, you should be spending 10% on marketing. How can you say that without meeting the person? I mean, I know one person on Cape Cod where his goal is to do $1-2 million house a year. And he handles it like a personal trades, craftsman, if you know what I'm saying. And he has the life he wants perfectly. And he doesn't spend a dime on marketing.
Right.
And I had someone challenge me on that. Oh, he has his name on and phone number on his truck. And I go, no, he doesn't. He doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay. But, the wealthy on Cape Cod are connected enough that everyone who needs to know that he exists for the specific product that he wants. And he just operates very oddly. He doesn't even get you to approve his plan. You have to go with his plan. You tell him what kind of life you want in the house, and he designs you that house. But he has such a reputation, and he only wants 1 a year. I mean, if he wanted 10 a year, he'd have to market, if you see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
But he only wants 1 a year. I think he's crazy if he spends anything on marketing. Why? I mean, that's all wasted money. Every dollar he spent would be wasted money.
Sounds like he only wants 1 a year because he only wants him to be doing it. So he's like, an artist, and he just wants to, that's what he can manage. And that's the other thing. You can only do what you can comfortably manage.
That's exactly right. He does have a couple of people who work for him. Their main job is to carry the lumber in and, position it for him to work on it and stuff, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, it's clearly hand-built by him. He has some helpers. And he has tradespeople. I mean, he brings in an electrician to do the electrical work and stuff. You know what I mean? But, yeah.
Well, maybe one day that will be Ted and I somewhere up in Cape Cod or somewhere.
Yeah. You got to do it in the right place.
He likes to do things himself. He's perfectionist, whatever. But so.
Yeah, the right place to do that is the Hamptons, Cape Cod, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard. I mean, that's the place to do that type of business.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but anyway, but we're well into this thing, and really we are talking about what I wanted to talk about, which is we've learned a lot about videos and YouTube advertising.
Mm-hmm.
But what I don't think we've done is really put the rubber to the road type thing. I'm not seeing many of these things actually being put into place, which is similar to what we talked about in the Facebook group yesterday. And that, I was going to lay out that I really think that as individuals, we need to decide what we want to accomplish and approach this a little bit more like a game. Okay. So I thought I would share just with what we did with Nick, which is a kind of a different way of approaching it for many people. But what we figured out, Nick has 6 salespeople. Okay. He wants them to do 4 appointments a day. So that's 20. That means he needs 120 appointments a week. All right. So in order to get that, normally you have to get 3 leads to get 1 appointment is what we have figured out. Those are the averages for him. So that means he needs 360 appointments a week.
No leads.
Right. He needs 360, and he needs them to be high enough quality that 1 out of 3 of them becomes an appointment. And then he needs them to be high enough quality that 1 out of 3 of the appointments become a sale. Okay. And so, unlike most marketing plans that I have with, we talk with people, they kind of want to have good marketing. They kind of want to improve stuff rather than, see, Nick didn't care about the marketing. He was an agnostic when it came to the marketing. What he wanted was 360 leads a week, of which they would convert to 120 appointments, of which that would translate to 40 sales, and at a certain size and at a certain profit margin. And so everything we did was, okay, the way we did it was that we now had the goal of how many appointments we need to how many leads we had to get and how many appointments. So the first thing is, how many can we fill up the cheapest way? And so we know he has a pretty good reputation, a pretty good following. We know we can count on about 20 appointments a week through his network. Okay. So great. So if that's 100, if we can count 20 appointments, that's 60 leads. So now we're no longer trying to get 300 leads. We're trying to get 360 leads. We're now trying to get 300 leads. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So now what's the next cheapest way we can get leads? And we just backfilled it to, and Gail, I'm not saying this to get you excited, but the last resort is, if he can't fill the leads, the last resort is to go to Home Advisor and turn on the faucet and get leads. He hates them, but they fill up the last part. And so my job as his marketer is to make it for he doesn't need Home Advisor. Meaning I have to come up with other ways to fill up that appointment slots. So that's just an interesting way of doing it. I think that works at any volume. So Alex, like in your case, if you knew how many remodeling jobs you wanted in the course of a year, you know how many appointments you normally have to pick up one. So let's just, and I'm just making up these numbers. Let's just say you wanted 10 remodeling jobs a year. And I'm picking it because 10's an easy number to work with, okay? That would mean you would need, if you close 1 out of 3 remodeling jobs, that means you'd need 30 leads, appointments a year. And if in order to get 30 appointments, you needed 3 leads, that would mean you'd need 90 appointments, leads a year. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what the numbers are. As I say, you want 1,000 jobs. It might be you want 1 job. Doesn't matter. The numbers are just the numbers, and the math is just the math. So now we need 90 leads for you in the course of a year. You divide that by 12, and what is that? 8.3 leads a month we need.
Right.
So now we have to figure out how you get 8.3 leads a month, okay, to hit those numbers. And what I'm going to maintain is see, and what Nick did was he picked the number that couldn't change, if that makes sense. It was the number of appointments. He had to do whatever he had to do to fill in those appointments.
Right.
All right. So with you, maybe you get X number from your past clients. Well, let's say that's 2 a month. So now we only need 6.3, leads a month, if that makes sense. And maybe X number come through your website. So now we subtract those out, and it leaves a number we have to generate. Then we have to come up with ways to generate those. Let it be with Facebook advertising, let it be with a lead gen company. Doesn't matter what it is. We have to figure out how to fill that gap. What we have to do is figure out how many we need, figure out how many we're getting now. We have to figure out what the gap is, and then we have to fill that gap.
But where in all this does quality of the lead come into play? Where are you taking that into consideration? Because that's
Okay.
a huge factor.
Right. Now, if you remember, when I was doing the math formula, I said the leads had to be of a high enough quality that they would generate 1 appointment for every 3 leads. And then I said the appointments had to be high enough quality that out of 3 appointments, you ended up with 1 sale, and that it had to be of the average size and the average profit that you were looking for.
Right. So
the
all
lead
those
is,
things you
so the
figured
quality
out.
is built right into that mathematical formula. So what do I mean by the quality is built right into the mathematical formula? I'll give you an example. We're using, in this case, 3 leads to get 1 appointment. But we happen to know, Gail, and you know this, it takes more Home Advisor leads than 3 to get 1 quality appointment. So when we get to that lead source and we still have to fill in some, we have to actually fill in with more leads than what we had been anticipating. because the quality has gone down. Does that make sense?
Yes, but then the more leads take more appointments and then it takes more time.
Correct.
So it's
It
no.
changes, right, and that's why the quality was built right into the formula, for you'd have to adjust the formula if those numbers began to change. If you wasn't 3 leads to 1 appointment, then you'd have to recalculate the numbers, because the numbers were based on that assumption.
Yeah, you had to get your assumption from somewhere. So you have to have the experience and knowledge of paying for your.
Or you just pick the average one as a starting point and then adjust as you gather more data. I mean, right now, I'll give you an example. With the lead gen company that my son's doing, okay? Well, guess who one of his first clients is? It's Nick, because we have gaps that we need to fill, and we're trying to get rid of the worst leads in that gap. So we have found something interesting. The way we're generating leads, it's actually taking 4 leads to produce 1 sale. I mean, one appointment, okay? But we're closing on those leads, and I can explain why this is happening, but we're closing on those leads. We're closing at a 75% rate, where normally he closes at a 33% rate. And the average job is actually higher than the average job that he has in his bigger number, okay? So interestingly enough, at first we thought we had to bring in more leads to hit the number, but we actually don't, because the number from appointments to sales changed, and the average size of the sale changed. And so when we calculated the new numbers, we actually only need 2.5 leads from the lead gen company.
That's really neat. Gail, do you do design build where you solicit fees for preliminary design and budgeting and planning a project as a separate agreement with a potential client?
Yes, separate agreement, which is the design agreement. And so the construction agreement is a different agreement.
Right. So Art, I'd like to ask you about a little bit of a refinement here, because I appreciate the clarity and the simplicity, really, of the numbers of the larger volume specialty contract home improvement companies, you know, roofing, siding, windows, doors, exterior improvements. It's a great cash cow business, needs a lot of leads. Gail's company, Daniel's Remodeling, and the Alexander Group, and many others in the general design build residential remodeling part of the industry, we segment the process into 2 steps. Step
Right.
1 is the design agreement, where we work with the owners to help them understand what it is that they want, because we're not just dealing with a roof or windows or doors or siding, but we're dealing with everything, you know, right, from architecture, permits, and land, and all the way through, you know, the style and you know, the whole house. And so and because we're not doing 1 project a year for a wealthy client in Cape Cod, where, you know, it's kind of you know, a tradesman and that approach. So we're in the middle. We're companies with employees and many relationships with skilled trades,
sure,
and professionals that
we'll get to your question, Alex.
We have a 2-fold sales process. We've got to get people to commit agreement, and then we go through a 2 to 6 month design process, and then maybe we close the construction agreement. Sure. So our numbers, how do we track that? It's different.
How's it different?
Absolutely, it is different, because those
I'm asking how.
Because those leads that you're thinking, okay, job well done, for example, for a Semper Fi company, right? Because then that's a quick job that's done. Their roofing or siding job is there's no design. What color you want? What type? Okay, done. And so therefore it's a done deal. So that lead was an actual conversion that actually was a job. Whereas in our scenario, the leads get converted into basically, even if we get the sale, it's a design sale first. And that doesn't mean it's going to construction. So
I never said it was. What I said was it was a mathematical formula, Gail. So Are you telling me that no one in design build can figure out how many designs translate to how many construction jobs?
No, but this is the point. He's
It's
just
just a
saying
math
it's a different
problem.
it's a different mathematic equation for design build versus a roofing company or a specialty company.
No, it's just one more conversion that you're calculating in, that's all.
It's still a different mathematical equation, and that's all his point was, I believe.
Was that the only point, Alex, that this is basically exactly the same thing? There's just one more number needed and the number's easy to get? Was that really the point you had, Alex? Because that's not what I was hearing.
You know, I think it was more of a, differentiating the fact that, I'm trying to get my head around just to make the change in the calculation, because it's lead to appointment to sale. We've got, it's like appointment to sale number 1, and
Okay,
then
so-
we've got a lag, and then we're hoping to convert that to sale number 2. And that
So,
conversion
Alex,
ratio does tend
see,
to be pretty
But the
high.
appointment's a sale too. I mean, you're just talking about, so how many designs do you do to get one construction job? If you do 10 designs, how many construction jobs do you get?
8.
8. Okay, so we now have an 80% conversion rate. So that number just goes into it. Now, if we want 10 projects, we need 12.3 or whatever it is. I don't have a calculator, but
Yeah,
we need
right.
12.
No, I get it, Art. I get it,
Yeah,
Art.
it's just math again. It's just
Right.
it's the same equation. We just keep working it. That's all.
Yeah.
Same with Caterpillar. Caterpillar is selling a $1 million product, but they have to have X number of people interested in the product to get X number of demonstrations, to get X number of contracts, which then gets X number of sales. Because as we know, not everyone who signs a contract ends up doing the job.
Right.
Right? I mean, each step of the way is simply one step of the math equation.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people reject to their business being made into a math equation. I mean, that's something we face with virtually every one of our clients, is there's a natural aversion to thinking my child, my blood and guts, my whole inspiration, and you're making it just a math formula. I mean, this is I get how that doesn't feel that personal. But the business side of it, I'm not saying there isn't the other side to it, but the business side of it is generally a math problem and can be calculated mathematically.
With the following caveat is that the answer to the problem is defined in advance by the owners and the owner's goal.
Exactly. That's what I said earlier, Alex.
If Art and family want X amount of income, and Art and family want 2 months a year where they can go chill out in their Cape Cod house, that's one of their goals and priorities. Right. And the business has got to support that.
Exactly.
And then just work it backwards.
Yeah, which is, I think, what I said at the beginning, isn't it, Alex?
Well, this is just the student, replaying the message to the sunset.
Right. I said, because I said it had to be different for each person because it had to be tailored to their goals and aspirations.
No, that's absolute truth. I mean, that's true for all of us.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if there's 25 steps. We just have to do the math on all 25 steps then.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Right. Okay. Unfortunately, we have reached our end. If anyone has any questions, so I'm just going to, I guess what I'm going to do is just encourage everybody to take what we've learned about YouTubes and videos and fit it into this formula that we've been talking about for you to start hitting your numbers. And I don't care if it's generators for Rob. I don't care if it's remodeling. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. The numbers end up working out. The numbers end up being dramatically different, but the basic formula stays the same. You have to start off with the end thing that you want and work out each level of probability backwards to the very beginning. And then you have to fill those numbers, the beginning numbers, before you can filter back in. All right. If anyone has any questions, just email us. We'll put together a video or whatever answering the question and share it with everybody. Okay.
Hey, Art, thank you and Grayson and all your team for taking the time to help us to learn more about this new marketing techniques.
I hope it was helpful.
You're welcome, Alex.
It was very helpful. Thanks, Art.
Yeah, good.
I
Thank
don't know
you.
the Grace.
And we will be doing others. We will be doing others. Oh, let me, if you don't mind me, let's just take a moment. We were thinking about what's the next class we should do. And one of the things on the table would be, you know, working about, these are some of the ideas we thought about is how to write the content on your website to convert more. We also thought about how to have a class on how to actually place ads in social media, set up social media accounts, set up tracking things and stuff, and have a real nuts and bolts type thing. Any ideas from this group of what you'd like us to cover?
I think the second thing you said, I don't think the content, I think everyone here has businesses already going, already has a website, you know what I mean? And
Okay.
maybe needs help more with the social media marketing stuff. So something
That would be great.
revolving around that.
The only thing
Yeah.
I'll share, Gail, is that I've seen very well-established businesses change what's on their website and have it literally overnight, have it produce 4 times the number of leads.
Well, I believe you, but the only way to really tell whether that would be a good thing to offer us, if you first evaluated our websites and thought that they needed the content up,
Right.
you know, upgrade. Otherwise, it you know what I mean? Not
So Gail, let me ask you, how many videos do you have on your website?
several.
Several? Okay, so maybe you don't. I'm serious.
Several.
because-
I've had our content written, rewritten, checked by many experts. So I would be shocked
Super.
if you ended up telling me. My point is, I don't want to take something that I don't need, and that's
Oh,
all.
no, I get it.
That's
And-
not, in my opinion, I don't need that. But
Yeah.
if you told me I did, that would be a different story. If you told me that
Yeah,
was a
no-
new pain that I needed to take a look at,
Yeah.
then I would be interested in a class.
Okay. And that would make perfect sense. And also, you know, we understand that not everybody is going to take every one of our classes either. I mean, they're
Sure.
going to pick and choose based on what's needed. But I do think that people are a little mystified about how to, I mean, I'm mystified about how to use Facebook Ad Manager and how to set it up correctly and stuff. I mean, I mean that literally. I mean, my team doesn't let me anywhere near it. And so I would find that one interesting. I wouldn't teach that one. We'd get Grayson and Chattery to teach that one. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I would find
But-
that interesting.
yeah. I'd tune in for that one, Gail.
Yeah, definitely. That
All
that
right.
piggybacks off these that you've done better to me.
I'm sorry. Oh, yes, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yep. Excellent.
But
All
thank you. Thank you for all your wisdom, and I appreciate it. Nice to chat with you all, and Alex and whoever else is on here. It's
Yeah.
Alex and I only, probably. I don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
well, take care, Gail, and say hi to Ted, and appreciate all your good thinking and sharing experiences too.
I will, and if you ever want to, you know, bounce off back and forth, and that's cool too. So reach out.
Yeah. What's your email? Is there a way to?
It's Gail at danielsremodeling.com, GAYLE at danielsremodeling.com.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send you a message.
Okay, cool. And Art, so I'll
Yes.
be looking forward to all the, you know, you sent, I know I like to rewatch it takes a long time to learn something. You can hear it
Oh.
one time, but it takes like 28 times, I think they say, to learn it.
Yeah.
I'll
Absolutely.
be
And what I
watching-
find is I get a different understanding every time I listen or watch or read something.
Yeah,
True.
true.
Hey, Gail.
Yeah.
Who's your biggest competitor?
I would say Sun
Sun, like Sun Remodeling,
Design. Yeah.
Sun Design.
Yeah.
Actually, Grace, just as a side note, Nick used to work for him as a salesman.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna accept your challenge, Gail. And
What?
I took a look at your website,
Okay.
and I do see some things, honestly, that might be hindering your conversion
Really?
rate. I do,
Okay.
absolutely. Is this danielsremodeling.com, right?
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're going to do, we're going to do a deep comparison of your presence to Sun Design's presence.
Okay. Thank you.
And is it sundesign.com?
I don't know, but
They're not
they're
in
located in
Washington.
Burke. They're in Burke.
What, Burke?
Yeah. I'm actually friends with both the owners for different methods, but yeah, Ted and I are friends with them. But they had me come in, and I sat down with their marketing person years ago. So I mean, I knew a lot of what they were doing, but the thing is, they had a lot more money to throw to marketing.
Yeah.
That we
Their
didn't have.
website is really not much better in terms of
No,
content.
oh no. People give us accolades for our website all the time, but there's some things that, I think aren't easy to find on our site. But anyway, I just, I know that.
Maybe because you look at it a lot and you see it through the lens of you love your company.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
I'll do this and I'll
put people
put
saying they like it, but they're not professional website people. Potential people that call all the time. First, they'll say, "First, I want to tell you I love your website. Thank you."
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that a person in the marketing world or website world would say that it's all that. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at it that way. I'm just looking at it in terms of we know what's proven to be increase your conversion rates.
Right.
And so I'm looking at it through that lens.
Okay.
Like one of the suggestions I would give you, just off of the bat,
Mm-hmm.
is have you read They Ask You Answer yet?
What was that?
They Ask You Answer.
It's a book.
It's a book by a man named Marcus Sheridan. I would encourage
no.
you to read it.
No.
So, because the challenge here that I see is you're the hero in this website. You provide quality remodeling.
Mm-hmm.
You've been doing it since 1997.
Mm-hmm.
You have a broad range of expertise.
Mm-hmm.
You can trust us. Every detail is carefully planned by us. Just keeping going down here. Daniels is the right team to help. We're ready. We give you the ultimate customer experience. These are things that every company claims. And it means not a lot to the person that's interested in researching. So The first suggestion I would be is figure out how to make your prospect the hero. How are you going to enable them to live a life they want to live through design and remodeling? Does that make sense? Read this book and you'll totally get what I'm talking about.
They ask you answer.
They Ask You Answer. Yeah. And it's by Marcus Sheridan.
Keep in mind though, I also, and it's just the way it goes. It's Ted's company, right? And
Yeah.
I'm his marketing expert, but he'll defer to me. But ultimately, it's his brand, and he, we've had different people. He had a salesperson that was a very shocking kind of wanting to be shocking, right? In sales and all that. That's not. He doesn't want to put fear in people, right? I'm just saying that, I know there's other things that could be done that might not fit with what he wants to have done. So
Sure.
Well, that might be a meeting that we need to have him on where we can make the strong case for there's definitely a way to increase the conversions off your website significantly by making just some tweaks and getting yourself out of the hero position and showing how you can enable people to get what they want.
Yeah.
Okay. It's beautiful work, but I feel like personally, just based on my experience of almost 15 years of doing this, that the language isn't right. I mean, I hate to say it, but just to put it right. You said to put it bluntly, that's right. The language isn't right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I appreciate any feedback because I don't take it personally. You can't. I mean, ultimately, I want to have conversions, obviously. So
Yeah.
But you also don't have any other call to action other than just schedule a booking. I mean, if you think about
conversation, yeah.
Yeah, but if you think about when you first meet someone, you're not going in depth into them. You're having a cup of coffee. You're just having light conversation. So what you're doing is you're meeting them and asking them to get involved and get a consultation. You're not giving them any content to research, not giving them any reason to understand why you're better other than you just saying it.
You know, one of the things that we always compare it to, Gail, is dating. It's kind of like on the first date, asking the person if they want to go for a week's cruise with you in the Caribbean. You know, it's a big jump from the first date. Someone has just shown up at your website, and the first thing you're asking is for them to have a personal conversation with you. They might want to get to know you a little better first.
Are you saying that, I don't know, give me an example of what you're saying, a different call to action, but also that.
Can I share my screen? You looking at this on a computer, Gail?
Yes, I am.
Oh, great.
Hopefully you're not saying that we shouldn't have a call to action, because scheduled conversation, people want to be, I want to make it easy for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but people that first come to your website that are researching, they probably don't want to have a conversation. I mean, 70% of the buying decisions on the internet are made before the person ever talks to someone. So if you look at this guy is the remodel of the year. He's getting almost a lead a day or more on kitchen remodels, bathroom
Yeah,
remodels.
he had 41 leads last month.
Yeah. So on this homepage, you notice there's nothing about me, nothing about Leo other than this design, this magazine. But the calls to action are, why should you trust us? Because the three things people want to know when they meet you: can you do the work that I need done? Can I trust you? And how much, how long, right? So you're going to try to answer those questions right up front. And then my second thing is, I didn't see a trust bar where you talk about the different things where you're letting people know how they can trust you. And then your video is about Ted talking about the company. But I might suggest you go this way. And you know what? I need to, let me stop sharing for a second and put it back on my audio, because this is something feedback you definitely need.
Yeah, we watched this video before.
You watched this video. Okay.
Yeah, so Gail, you remember that video?
Yes, I remember. We watched
Yeah.
that video, and we have a testimonial video, and we do have an entire page of our accolades. And I have my son doing our marketing, you know, and he's stubborn. I keep telling him we should put the trust bar on it, and he's all about messing up and cluttering the first page. But anyway.
Right, but we statistically, they ran tests. I mean, it is provable that the sooner you give people third-party reasons to trust you, the more conversions there are.
Yeah, but look at
Now,
this review
I got to
page.
tell you, Gail, I don't like the look of the trust bar either. So I'm not disagreeing with him at all. You just have to decide, do you want to have the prettiest website, or do you want to have the most business?
Exactly. It's a
Yeah,
debate.
and here's the other thought on the reviews. Written testimonials never work. I hate seeing written testimonials, because the reason why I dislike it is because I don't think it adds any credibility to your company at all. I mean, you could write, whoever can write whatever they want about whatever.
Yeah.
You know, Ted did a fantastic job. He remodeled our kitchen. Grayson, I'm not even in your area. But when you back this up with visual testimonial, I mean, you look at this and you know this guy's got good client relations. And then you look at his Google reviews, not reviews that he wrote, but actual reviews taken from Google, which you know you cannot alter. That's it. And then view more, it goes right to his Google reviews. So we're not trying to convince people that clients love us by showing you what they said. We're convincing you that people love us with the videos of showing us interacting with them and the actual reviews that are on Google.
And the third-party reviews.
And the
Provable
third-party
third-party.
reviews.
Not we. I mean, I hate to say how many websites have made up reviews. The people just wrote what they wanted to have someone say about them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Now, our clients always say, well, no, that's a real review. And we get that it's a real review. That doesn't mean that if I don't know you, I think it's a real review. You know, and the other thing also that Grayson didn't say, but I know he believes, is you have those testimonial videos and stuff, but they're not right in front of the homepage to convince people to stay.
Right. Another debate I've had with my sons.
Yeah. I mean,
See, and I don't even see the client
That's the
testimonial.
testimonial
videos.
right there.
that's it right
Just
there.
this
Click
one.
on it.
That's the testimonial video.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what it looks like.
But
So our home is a 1980s home. So as our family grew into it, it got
That's, listen, Gail, I'm not trying to attack and I'm not trying to put down, but, from a UX user experience,
Yeah.
in terms of the menu being here with the flyouts and all of that and
Yeah.
little small things that are just kind of tweaky things that I would say need to be addressed.
and they look great. They make for a really clean website. I get why
Yeah.
people like them.
He likes the clean look.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't see this as really clean. I'll be honest with you. A lot of blocks, a lot of stuff going on. I do like your trust bar, but I'd put it higher. I like your look, but I would change the content because the content's not helping you. And I would get more from a call to action standpoint, not asking people to get married right out of the gate. Let's have a cup of coffee. Let me help educate you about me and how I can help you. Right? I don't want to talk about me at all. I want to talk about how I can help you. I can do the work you want, how you can trust me, and here's what it's going to cost.
So also there's, I know I can just tell you based on past discussions with my son and other marketing companies that we use,
Mhm.
you have to be careful of what you do with your site changing, altering because of Google. Okay. And organically we rank
No.
very high. Okay.
Not
And
true.
so
Yeah.
I don't want to mess anything up that way either, but I think it's really a discussion for my son to be on the call with.
Sure.
And probably Ted too. I mean, from a business owner standpoint,
Totally.
you really need the business owner involved. Because
Totally.
what happens is we've got a lot of great ideas. You've got a lot of great ideas. Your son's got a lot of great ideas. And you can like put all those ideas together and take them to him, and he can just go, nope, 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 don't like that, don't like that. This isn't going to work. This isn't going to work.
I have to go to another meeting.
Yeah.
I'm leaving you guys. Keep talking, but I've got
Okay.
to go to
Gail,
Thanks, Art. Thanks, Art. Yeah,
we
Grayson,
can
no,
connect. And
totally. I am never claiming to be an expert on any online platform, right?
Yeah.
And including our website. I'm not the one. I defer to other experts. So
yeah.
also things that historically might have worked or, at a time don't need to always stay the same. So maybe things need to be done and changed, but that you're right. The owner and
See,
I
it's
needs
a classic case, Gail, of the we syndrome.
the what
okay.
syndrome?
The we syndrome. We are great. We do this. We do that. See, and even looking at the homepage,
Uh-huh.
he's got his logo giant right in the middle, blocking out the best part of this kitchen.
Yeah.
And think about that. If he wants to show his work off, why did he drop his logo? Because that's the we syndrome. I want you to see me. I want you to be impressed with me. I want you to love my company because I love it so much. And I want you to just come in here and go, oh, I love his logo. I'm going to do business with him.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is a lot of our marketing, I just thought of something that's also important to say. A lot of our marketing is not directed to this page. It might be directed, or different campaigns directed to different pages. See?
Sure.
So you don't necessarily, they wouldn't even see that to begin with.
Yeah.
They see what we direct them to see. And for example, I created a whole COVID new site page, new everything campaign, right? I had a different, I can't remember what they call that, a monster page or something I
A
created
landing page.
a year and a half ago, whatever. So we would direct things to that. I have people directed to kitchen pages we have with our different client cases.
Directed how? You mean through paid advertising?
What was that?
You directed how? You mean through paid advertising?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, what about all your organic stuff?
Organically, we just are ranking. Our site ranks very high. So
Yeah, what I'm saying is when you get that traffic, it's coming here, right? And you're bouncing 70% of the people bounce off this because
Yeah.
immediately it doesn't give them what they want. And they're looking for stuff. They're looking for answers. They want to know how much does
Yeah.
it cost? They want to know what does it entail? They want to know, how do I know you're the right contractor for
Yeah,
me?
no, I totally agree. I've said that before, for example, about the trust bar, about you're right about the logo placement too, but we're not going to pay to have a whole new website redesign. So I'm sure he should be able to remove the,
Well, it's like I said, you can increase your conversions with simple tweaks to your existing
Yeah,
website
okay.
structure,
okay.
right? Because listen, the bulk of what we do is not website design. I mean, I'm owned a website design company for almost 15 years, and I still have that company.
Yeah.
But it's a small subsidiary, because one of the things I hear is we're focused a lot on this website and landing pages on the website and stuff. But again, that's kind of skipping critical steps in the building relationships process. That's all
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
So we can, I can help you I can help by just giving you a suggestion or not. I mean, either way,
yeah,
naturally,
no,
I want to help the people that
appreciate
are
it.
engaged with us.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So what we need to do is, if you're interested, I'm going to send you a booking link
Okay.
and just book a slot with me
Okay.
and bring your
I'll
son.
have to, of course, look at Ted's calendar and get Anthony. Anthony our son's Anthony. He has a full-time job. He lives in Raleigh. We're in Northern Virginia,
Gotcha.
of course, but
That's the other challenge.
he works for, have you heard of Red Hat?
Yeah, I have.
They were bought out by IBM, but really they're
Yeah,
still operating
I
as
know.
two separate companies. But anyway.
So, and here's the problem I see with that. And this is not a dig on your son or your arrangement, but in my 20 plus years of experience in this industry, okay,
Mhm.
when you have a family member who has a full-time job and this is a side gig,
Mhm.
and they're an IT or computer person,
Mhm.
you're really doing your company a disservice.
Oh, well, no. You misunderstand. He is not I have a whole website guy that we have. And I
Either
have,
way.
what was that?
Well, you're saying that your son is in, whatever.
He's
it's
my
fine.
deferred expert on all things online social media, but he does not, we use a website expert, he's
Gotcha.
in New York or whatever, through, my son can speak his language. Do you know what I'm saying? But
Sure.
I also have a whole nother company, not Surefire, but Marketing 360. Have you heard of them?
I have.
So I don't, he's not the one, he does various different things that aren't, like, if I say, I want this done, or what do you think about this? But I'm also going off of his advice. Like when I said, why don't we add a trust bar? Because someone else said that, some other, company I dealt with. And the reason why, he said it would clutter up the page. So I'm just saying, for whatever reason, he has that in his head, because what my husband has told him all the time, he wants a clean look. See? So it all trickles down from the owner usually.
We're focused on the look, though. Again, it all comes back to the look. The focus for so many years on websites has been how pretty it is, how nice
Exactly.
it is, how it
Yeah.
presents. And none of that matters, because when we work with clients, there's very little say from the client perspective on what it looks like. If you're engaged with us, we're the experts. We know what works. We have numbers and figures and stats to prove that what we do works. And so we care about how you perceive your business, but it's irrelevant when it comes to the website.
Yeah, and they really need to hear that from someone that's not me, that's the expert in the world, because I can only say what I say. Oh, well, but I have not much to back it up. What was
I'm
that?
happy to have that conversation.
Yeah, because I don't have much to back it up other than I was told.
But I think if you're getting a reasonably good amount of traffic to the website,
Mm-hmm.
we could increase your conversions by 40 to 50%.
That would be awesome. Yeah, because we get a lot of traffic, but I don't know. I haven't checked the recent conversions, but I know.
But you have to be open to doing the things that it takes to make that increase in conversions.
Right.
And that means stepping away from how you want it to look.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
And nice, flashy, smooth transitions and big logo. That's all great. It looks good. It does look good. It's a very nice looking website, but you're hurting yourself, honestly.
Yeah,
by
no,
not having the elements
I
you need.
hear you. I agree. Many times I've said these different things over the past 2 years. So it would be helpful for them,
Okay.
you know, to hear that from an expert, not me.
All righty.
And then once they hear it, then I have to follow up, which I will, and take the action, you see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Grayson. Have a
Sure
good day.
thing.
Thanks for your extra time.
No problem. Anytime.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Have a good weekend. Bye.